Good evening, Bahamas. You're tuned into MB12 Weekend, broadcasting from Cable 12 Studios on Robinson Road. Coming up tonight, a possible delay in the NHI rollout, a man stabbed to death overnight, the F&M criticizing government's action plan for crime, a new date eyed for the gender equality referendum, and as always, we count down the top quotes and news this week. Happy Valentine's Day, Bahamas. I'm Paige McCartney. We've got those stories and more straight ahead on MB12 Weekend. Welcome once again to MB12. The April rollout of primary care services under the National Health Insurance may not happen as planned. That's according to NHI project manager Dr. Delon Brennen, who admitted that a delay in the aggressive new health scheme is possible. Brennen, who spoke with MB12 after an appearance on Guardian radio talk show The Revolution with Juan McCartney, during which he explained that the implementation target may be too aggressive given the lag in the first two phases of the program, registration, and enrollment.
I think one of the things that we want people to understand is each phase of NHI is dependent on the other phase being successful as well. So we need as many people as possible to go to NIB and get their new NIB Smart Card. That allows you to be in a part of the database of people that we know would then be eligible to enroll under NHI. So get your new NIB Smart Card, then you become eligible to enroll. Once you enroll, essentially what you're doing is choosing your primary care provider and you're choosing your regulated health administrator or your insurer. Once you've made those decisions, then we can move on to delivering primary care. But if we don't have people registered and they don't have their smart card and we don't have people enrolled, then we can't deliver the care services because we need to be able to coordinate that as one mechanism. So one phase being dependent upon the other, there may end up being delays, but it's not because we don't want to deliver the service on time. It really depends on people doing their part as a whole for us all to be able to access those benefits.
There are just about 7 weeks until the primary care services phase of NHI is expected to be rolled out at a cost of $25 million per fiscal quarter. Although the NHI Secretariat recently started frequent town hall meetings to educate the public on the new scheme, various other components to the plan also remain outstanding, including the release of draft legislation for public consumption, as well as insurance companies and doctors not being on the same terms with government about NHI. But one matter has been cleared up, according to Brennen, and that involves a proposed mandate that all Bahamian citizens and residents enroll in the program. He said that is no longer the case, and government is just looking for as many Bahamians as possible to sign up to receive benefits.
The issue is it is very difficult to mandate something of this sort when what would then be the penalty for not having done so. So what we want to let people know is when you sign up, these are the benefits that you'll get. And if you don't sign up, you're not eligible to get those benefits. We want that to be incentive enough for the general public, for those who do or do not have private health insurance, make the case to them to let them know that this is why it's a benefit to you, your family, your communities to be involved with NHI. But we don't want you to feel as though you're being forced into it. We want people who need the service to sign up voluntarily to get the service.
Well, the downside to not signing up, Brennen said, is not denial of healthcare services, however, being required to pay even in the case of emergencies.
It's more of if you don't sign up for care, that you wouldn't necessarily be able to use the same benefits that NHI beneficiaries would have access to. So it's not that you would be denied service. In the public health sector, we don't deny service to anyone, but you may be charged if there is a charge for that care. So if you come in for a primary care visit and if you had NHI, there wasn't going to be a charge, you may need to pay. You'll at least get a bill for that charge. What does happen sometimes is, even in the public sector right now, if you don't have the money to pay for a medication or you don't have the money to pay for an ultrasound, then you don't have access to those services. In an emergency, you would, but in a non-emergency, you don't get access to those services. Whereas with NHI, if you signed up, and again, at no cost to you, you would now have access to those free of charge.
Another change to the draft bill, according to Brennen, involves a modification in the pay capitation for healthcare providers. Although an official amount was never announced, MB12 understands the pay cap was originally set at about $210 per patient for doctors. Brennen said there will no longer be a set cap rate.
We really have a range that would be available to our healthcare providers. What they have the ability to do is say, I know that I have a certain level of facility right now. If I upgrade my facilities, if I have a larger facility, I have more staff involved, if I'm able to upgrade my skills, for those who may not have necessary training skills, but they're able to upgrade those skills, they have certain supplies available to them, all of that increases your compensation. We heard a long time ago from a lot of our providers is that for my higher level of specialty training, I should be compensated more for that. Well, we've built that into the model now, that if you now have higher level specialty training, you'll be compensated more per patient who comes to you. So those levels have definitely increased since we've been able to change the model to get us there, and it's put us in a more enviable negotiation position with our providers.
Brennen's statement comes just days after NIB Senior Deputy Director Cecile Bethel indicated that the registration component of the Universal Health Care Scheme can't ensue until NHI legislation is passed to allow NIB to share information about its registrants with the NHI Secretariat. As it relates to registration for the NIB Smart Card, more than 167,000 people have registered so far. Well, shifting to other news tonight, police are reporting another murder, this one occurring in the Nassau Village area last night. Police say the incident happened just before 8 when they were called to a scene on Sumner Street where a man had been stabbed multiple times about the body. Here's Chief Superintendent of Police Paul Roll.
Officers arrived on the scene and requested EMS. EMS also came here, and by the time they had gotten in, the male had already succumbed. Our information preliminary now is that this individual was somehow involved in an incident on the main Alexandria Boulevard in the area of a grocery store when we believe he may have been attacked by a group of 4 to 5 men who are responsible for causing these injuries to him.
The victim is said to be a 31-year-old resident of Sumner Street. Police are appealing to members of the public who may have information on this latest killing to contact Crime Stoppers at 328-TIPS. This marks the 15th homicide for the year. Well, government continues to keep its head in the sand when it comes to the fight against crime. That's according to opposition leader Dr. Hubert Minnis, who accused the Christie administration of ignoring the root causes of crime. He charged that Bahamians are suffering and called on government to be more aggressive. Here's Dana Smith.
We had a terrible year and just started off terrible again. So what new plans, what new initiative are they bringing forth? That's what the Bahamian populace are crying. They're suffering, not only from crime, they're suffering from the cost of living.
Minnis said despite the overall 5% decrease in crime, he's still concerned about increases in categories like murder and rape. And he called on the government to do more to address the root causes of crime.
I think one murder is far too much. And we need to be a lot more aggressive, do as much as possible. We need to involve the public. But we need to look and see what are the root causes of crime. When you look at it, family structure, number one. You look at poverty, unemployment. So these are issues that need to be dealt with. Then corruption. Corruption is one of the causes also. So we need to deal with that. Until we deal with the corruption and the victimization and cronyism, which is a part of corruption, until we deal with those, we would still have crime. So it's no use trying to just keep your heads in the sand. And that's what the governments continue to do. Deal with the problem, the root problems I've stated. Deal with those.
In 2015, murders increased by 19%, attempted rape by 33%, and rape by 16%. However, all other categories of crime against the person, except manslaughter and attempted murder, decreased. Greenslade said the crime statistics are unacceptable and the murders disgraceful. He said everyone has the collective ability to stop the hemorrhage, and there must be a more concerted national effort on education, intervention in schools, and improving unemployment. While much of the 2016 policing plan has initiatives that have been previously detailed, one new feature is the acquisition of helicopter services and unmanned aerial vehicles, or drones. Minnis said this will help, but he reiterated the importance of addressing the societal problems that can lead to crime.
That would assist, but you're still ignoring the elephant in the room. The elephant in the room: community, church, family structure, after-school programs, counseling. All right, individuals who have suffered a family relative who had been killed, raped, or whatever, they need counseling, because that is internalized and can present itself at some later stage, be it as a criminal activity, rage, whatever else. Those are factors that need to be dealt with.
Reporting for NB12 Weekend, I'm Dana Smith.
In other news, while he would not confirm an exact date, National Security Minister Dr. Brennen telling NB12 this week that the gender equality referendum, which has already been delayed numerous times, should take place no later than June or July this year. It explained that despite comments made by the opposing on the referendum, it's something that can no longer be delayed. It must take place as time is winding down on this administration's term in office. Here's Kyle Joaquin with that story.
We caught up with National Security Minister Dr. Brennen this week, who also has responsibility for referenda, to talk about the delayed gender equality referendum. It was previously stated that the referendum should be held no later than the end of summer, so we asked him if things were still on track to meet that deadline.
I think it'll be held before then, yes, before the end of July.
The government has already missed more than 3 self-imposed deadlines for its proposed gender equality referendum. It was first expected to take place in June of 2013, then rescheduled to November 2013. It was later rescheduled again to November 6, 2014, but that deadline has been missed as well. It's expected that there will be 4 questions on the ballot. The first seeks to give a child born outside of the Bahamas to a Bahamian-born mother and non-Bahamian father an automatic right to Bahamian citizenship. The second seeks to enable a Bahamian woman who marries a foreign man to secure the same access to Bahamian citizenship that a Bahamian man enjoys under the Constitution. The third bill seeks to reverse the law that prohibits an unwed Bahamian man from passing citizenship to his child if he or she is born to a foreign woman. And the fourth seeks to end discrimination based on sex. Government held a gaming referendum in January of 2013, but despite an overwhelming no vote, it pushed ahead with the regulation of the web shop industry. That decision caused quite a stir among many, particularly the opposition, who said the government was blatantly ignoring the voice of the Bahamian people and that it would cause people to no longer support future referenda. Nottage said he understands there are still ill feelings about that, but this is something different.
I understand there are some persons who have been concerned about the government's policy having regard to the results of the referendum. Yes, I know that is the case, but this is a separate issue.
The government has been asking for bipartisan support in the gender equality referendum. The issue has undoubtedly been a hot one since 2014, when the late Dr. Miles Monroe took issue with it, particularly question number 4. There were also members of the opposition, the DNA, and even then PLP members Greg Moss and Andre Rollins, who feared the wording would make way for gay marriage in the Bahamas. Long Island MP Loretta Butler Turner was one of the few who rose in support of the referendum, citing equality for women. Nottage has previously said the referendum would not happen if there isn't bipartisan support in the House of Assembly on the issue. And this week he once again called for that.
In my opinion, should receive the support of all citizens. I don't think that we should any longer have a country where females do not have the same rights as males because they are females.
Nottage noted the amount of criticism being thrown at the government for the constant delay in the referendum, but he assured it will happen under this Christie administration. He said he hopes people see the real reason for the exercise.
I'm hoping that we all share the view that females should have the same rights as citizens of the country as do males.
Reporting for NB12 Weekend, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
Stay with us.